So hello, everyone, and welcome to the June 10th council meeting for the Village of Lytton. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone to please turn off your videos, mute your microphones, and allow council to begin the proceedings. Just to let you know, we are all being recorded and broadcasted on the Village of Lytton YouTube channel. If anyone is looking for a video recording of this meeting or a past meeting, you can go to the Village YouTube channel and watch it there. Thank you, Your Worship. You may call the meeting to order. Sorry, just one moment. You're still muted.
There we go. Okay, I call this regular council meeting of June 10th to order at 7 p.m. I want to begin by recognizing that we're holding this regular council meeting on the unceded traditional ancestral lands of the Entefat people. In accordance with our council procedure bylaw, we have Kathy Walter here in the capacity of Deputy Corporate Officer. All right, we will move right on to adoption of the agenda. And so we're looking to adopt the, no, we're not. We are going to add an item under other business, and that will be a River Road Sewer Project update, verbal report. So I'm looking to have a motion made to adopt the agenda for this evening as amended. Thank you, Councillor Lightfoot. Seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Michelle. All those in favor? Aye, carried. And we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of May 27th. And we need a motion to adopt them. Councillor McCann, seconder. Truss. Thank you, Councillor Truss. Are there any errors or omissions? No, hearing none. All those in favor? Okay. Carried. All right, we move right on to, we have no business arising from previous meetings. So right on to public comment, and I'm going to turn it back over to Corporate Officer Doroshenko.
Thank you, Your Worship. So members of the public are now invited to comment on matters related to the agenda. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. You can find that by clicking on React at the bottom of your screen and then click raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name and you'll be asked to unmute yourself. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to please state and spell your name, say your address, and the agenda item number you are speaking to. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. I'll call for a second time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. And I'll call for a third time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. And Your Worship, is there anyone at Parish Hall that wishes to speak?
There's no one here this evening.
Wonderful, thank you. So that completes the public comment portion of the meeting. Back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you. So we'll move right on to item number 7, which is staff reports. And we will begin with our CAO, Diane Mombriquette, regarding the annual report. So I will turn it over to you, Diane.
Thank you very much, Mayor O'Connor. Good evening, everyone. And thanks for joining us for the meeting tonight. This first item is an opportunity for council to look at the annual report for 2024, and we're looking for a draft approval of that report. So the report is prepared consistent with some legislation that requires the report to include our annual audited financial statements, the permissive tax exemptions for the 2024 year, a report on our services and operations, and then a progress report on the performance of the municipality with respect to our established objectives and measures, and then the statement of objectives and measures for the current year. And the final item that gets included in is any declarations of disqualifications made against individual council members. So this year, when we prepared the annual report, we referenced back to our annual plan that we had approved for 2024. So we used the same performance measures that were included in the plan. That's what we're reporting on in the annual report. And this is the kind of the way the system's supposed to work. So we've got it, sort of started. This is our first opportunity to have a specific plan that we're reporting against. So it's kind of a nice full circle for that report, for that plan. The other thing that is highlighted in the report, we did include, you may remember last year when it came time for the permissive tax exemptions, that we had missed the deadline to file that information with BC Assessment, and Council instead approved a grant in aid for the organizations that we typically granted permissive tax exemptions to. We've included that information in the permissive tax exemption section of the annual report, even though they're not technically permissive tax exemptions. We felt that was good information to communicate. So following the meeting, the report will be posted on our website, available to the public for comment, questions, clarifications over the next couple of weeks, and then it will come back to council at the last meeting in June for a final approval.
Thank you. Council, does anyone have any questions or comments regarding this report? Okay, I found it very easy to read, well laid out. I appreciate the photos that are in it as well. So what we'd like is a motion to accept this draft report.
So move Lightfoot.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. So I should have asked, what is the next step with this? Is it submitted to the province? Can you explain what happens next with the report?
Yeah, once it gets the final approval from council at the end of the month, it will be posted on our website, and it lives in our reports and documents section there for anybody to read at any time, but we don't formally submit it to the province.
Oh, okay, perfect.
But it does have a June 30th deadline.
Yes, to be completed. Thank you very much. Good.
Welcome.
All right. We will move on to item 7.2, Director of Development. And we have a Development Services Activity Report, which is our monthly report.
Sorry.
And
Sorry.
oh,
It's actually Community Hub Architect.
I apologize. We will move on. Diane.
Thank you again, Mayor O'Connor. I'll try to make it quick. No, at the previous meeting, we discussed the process that we had been underway with to select the community hub architect. And so, and at the time, I reported to council that we had narrowed it down to three architectural firms, and we were looking to meet with each one of them just for clarifications on their proposals, making sure that we understood everything. And so we've had those meetings and rescored the proponents and are making a final recommendation for the community hub architect. So this process began back in March 19th. We posted an RFP on BC Bid. We received 24 submissions before the deadline, one submission after the deadline. Though they were due by April the 23rd. The proposals were all evaluated by myself and our construction advisor. We did independent valuation based on predetermined criteria. We compared the combined scores and we selected a top 5. We brought those top 5 proponents to council for their consideration, and we narrowed it down to 3 from there. And now we're recommending that we enter into a contract with O4 Architecture for the design of the community hub for a total base contract value of $896,980.
Thank you. So we're looking for a motion. And who would like to put that forward? To a Councillor Lightfoot and the seconder, Toss. Are there any questions regarding this? Councillor McCann.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, CEO Monbriquet, for taking the time to follow up with this. Where exactly are these people from, just for the record?
They're located in Vancouver, on Oak Street in Vancouver.
Thank you. And when we are looking on the report here, you mentioned an on-site project manager or something. Can you just clarify that a little bit?
Thank you, Councillor McCann. I realize that I kind of skipped over the next steps, and so if I may, I'd just like to run through those quickly. So, the next steps from here, if council approves our recommendation, would be to finalize the contract with O4 Architecture. We'll then spend some time with them transferring information relating to the project background. We included some information in the RFP about the project advisory committee, but we will we'll provide them with more information about that and the community feedback that we have received to date on the project, because we've had several sessions where we were seeking feedback from the community, as well as just helping them understand the archaeology requirements in Lytton so that there's no confusion over what types of things need to happen before, ground can be broken and those types of things. We will then work with O4 to set up some of the engagement sessions with the various community groups, and that will be pursuant to a plan that is yet to come to council. And then the final step will be to hire an on-the-ground experienced construction manager, site supervisor, whatever terminology we determine based on who we have respond. But the idea is that with a project of this magnitude, we want to make sure that we have somebody involved at the tail end of the design stage who's going to be involved in actually building the building. So they will have input into the design piece, but then also will carry through the entire construction phase. There's many different ways we can do this. There's individuals, there's firms, there's different ways. And so we'll work with the construction advisor to come up with the best proposal to bring to council before we move forward on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions, Councillor Toss?
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. Excuse my ignorance, is this the advisor, the construction advisor already on staff, and we're hiring the construction manager, and the construction manager will be on the ground?
That's correct. That's correct. The construction advisor's been working with us now for about a year,
Okay.
just on a contract basis, helping like through these RFP processes, making sure, through the public works building, making sure the contracting and all that side of things. And we'll continue in that role. This other role that I'm talking about is really somebody who's on the ground.
So they literally will be in Lytton throughout the.
They'll be in Lytton for the majority of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if possible, it'd be nice to put that in the contract to ensure they are.
It will be a requirement in the RFP for sure.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions? So all those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Diane. Now we'll move on to item number 7.2, which is Director of Development. And we do have Caroline here. And the first one is the Development Services Activity Report.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I hope you're air conditioned in there.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
I'm not, just so you know. I'm Carolyn Lamont, and I'm the Village's Director of Development, and I will be presenting the Service Activity Report. Things are still moving along. We had 4 more building permit inquiries. However, the development applications, we don't have anything new, but I will say that there's a few that are in the works right now that you likely will see shortly. At the last presentation, I mentioned that the regional district has taken over the building inquiries and plan checking review. And with consultants Gray Wolf, they completed 28 inspections in May. So the Gray Wolf Building Services, who also do work with the Lytton First Nation, have availability up to 2 times a week. We're trying to still focus on one day a week for costs, but it provides a little more flexibility for contractors. We have several inquiries and I believe two single family dwellings were issued occupancy this month, I believe. As well as the building department, I just thought I'd give you a little update on some of the other things that planning and development's working on. The community hub rezoning amendment or a zoning amendment has been drafted and it's under review. I'll be talking about the Pocket Park just after this. Chief Spitlam Park, we've had a few meetings and looking at the subdivision and consolidation of that park. I am working on the update to the OCP for you, and hopefully we'll have a discussion with council coming up, as well as some refinement in other bylaws. We're looking at the GIS system with the TNRD. And as far as economic development, I'm also working on that, looking at the Pacific Can program, asking them for statistics on the success of the program, as well as the tourism plan implementation. So with that, the recommendation is that council receive the Development Services Activity Report, and I'd welcome any questions you might have.
Great. Well, let's put the motion forward to receive the report for information.
Also move.
Thank you, Councillor McCann, seconder. Thank you, Councillor Toss. And are there any questions for Carolyn?
You've been busy, holy.
No, we do appreciate this every month to hear this. And this is probably one of the first times we've actually heard some additional information as well on what you're doing. And I think that's really important. So thank you very much. We do have a question.
I did have one question when, I can't remember who I was talking to, sorry. But somehow the question came up about the building inspector and the shift and change to a different person and just the suggestion that perhaps that might have caused some delays for some people. Like, I was just wondering if you noticed any real difference in the flow of paperwork during that little transition that we've gone through in the last couple of months.
Well, the overlap with the TNRD is probably with our status meeting has been for about a month. And then obviously the contract discussions before that. And then Grey Wolf, as I understand, boy, they really helped us out because there was a building conference. So they jumped in on that because the TNRD couldn't help out. Lynn has been pretty thorough. So if there is any issues, I'd appreciate people reaching out to me and contacting me. My contact's on the website. But I believe we had a few juggling, really trying to make sure people got the inspections. So I hope that is the case.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a complaint. It was just a question. Yeah.
And I think there's lots of news in the news, like on the newsletter and the website, all the information is current. Yeah.
Great, good. Okay. But there's no other questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Except for you're going to move on to the next topic, which is the Pocket Park improvements update.
Yes, and I'm just sharing my screen, which I thought I had it figured out, but okay. Can you see that?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Does it have a funny background or not? Is it all good? There we go. I'm back again to talk about the second report on the Pocket Park. There's lots to this for like a small structure, but we just want to make sure we get it right for the community. So this is just a little update on what the structure looks like. I believe it's been moved now to the community. And what I wanted to talk to a little bit is the siding. So in discussions with the contractor and staff,
Sorry, Caroline. Are you able to make it a bit bigger?
I could, yes.
Yeah. It's even
Is that better?
a little bit better.
Yeah.
Kathy, I wonder if you could move the screen, the pictures at the top. That would help, like diminish.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't know why it's there. Okay. Do you want me to? I'm still learning this a little bit, as you can tell. Any
Yeah.
better?
There we go. We're just gonna move the people's photos off to the side if we could.
That's better.
That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is just the location. So working with the contractor and staff, we just had a discussion and the pros and cons, and something that we hadn't thought of was access to the roof, which is a fair comment, but also issues such as symmetry, view of the stairway, so people know there's access up there, as well as views from the view corridor, and then setbacks. And so here is another one. So you'll see I used the yellow and the orange and the brown just to show you the locations, the possible locations. And then I'll do one more. Oops. And there I did a little street view. It's a little, I think the orange should be a little closer over, but you can see the effect. So the brown one obviously is right up against the retaining wall, which could have some circulations challenges. The orange one is in the one side entirely within the lot with a small setback. And then the yellow one is dead straight up the stairs. if you recall, we'll also be moving the washroom to basically where that tree or behind that tree is. And yeah, so that's pretty much the presentation for your consideration. And then so the recommendation is that you receive the Pocket Park Improvements Report dated June 10th, 2025 for information, and the council approve location B as the preferred option of the shade structure in Pocket Park. And I could go on to more details, but I believe that location B just pretty much hits all the marks. A is a little close to the stair access, and C, and I'll just move back, is it will block the view corridor of the stairs. So that was a project, a community project in the around 2010, and we just didn't want to impact what that vision was at that time. So any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions, Councillor
yeah.
Toss?
Well, I think I'll defer to Councillor McCann to start because my questions may be answered because I know.
Okay, Councillor McCann.
You don't want to put the motion forward first? Just
Sure, let's put the motion forward first. Thank you. And a seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you. And now we'll discuss. So Councillor McCann.
So Caroline, yesterday I went and talked to people about this and listened to people. I went to, first of all, the Two Rivers Community Service people and asked them and shared with them this information. I went to the people at Coffee with the Mayor yesterday and asked them about that. And then I found the property owners with the property adjacent immediately to where you're proposing location B. And talk to them about it. And so here's some of the information I got back, and that's basically, I just wrote it this afternoon. While some people commented on the visual image of the stairs being uplifted, others countered that, and this is a quote, "Those crooked stairs drive me crazy." So I'm just saying what people have said. The need for balance on this site was brought forward by several people, like wanting it centered. The property owners adjacent prefer the center location as they are not comfortable with the plan to have the structure close to their property line. And my own personal preference, while not perfect, I also prefer option C, where the structure is centered in front of the stairs, because it is an open structure. Movement in and around it should be relatively unrestricted, but the way it's built. The roof may interrupt the view of the stairs, making the jog less noticeable. It will make the park appear balanced, and I believe the structure will attract attention and provide a welcoming place to sit. So for me, the most definitive comment was from the property owner, and whose wishes I prefer to support, and I feel that's very important. And they'll be looking at that park and that structure every day from next door. So they prefer option C. So that would be my preference as well, just for those reasons. And because it's open, you will still see the stairs going through, like only the roof is solid, everything else is open. So the stairs will still be visible. They won't disappear. Like if we put an actual house or building there with walls, yes, that would definitely block it. But I think the way this thing is built, it would be much less disturbing that view. So that's my comments.
Okay, so other questions, comments? Councillor Toss?
For aesthetics, and for that reason only, and what Councillor McCann has mentioned, I support option C as well. But I have a question around next steps. I have this burning desire to get it up and functional this year. Is that going to be possible?
Yes. Right now the biggest delay is probably related to the getting ARC technicians or archaeologists on site for when we do the excavation. And I believe we have secured them for mid-July. Diane, please jump in if that's not right. We're just also working with the structural engineer, because they sort of have to reverse engineer it. And I had hoped we'd have that probably last time I presented to you, but we're still waiting. So I keep hearing it's this week. So I do know the contractors are both ready to go.
Great,
So,
thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Councillor Lightfoot?
I actually like option A, but I can live with option B. And option C really bothers me for a number of reasons. I think one is that I don't see that having it in the middle really balances the site, given that we have other additions we want to put in that site, such as misting station and washroom. So the washroom will be on, well, from me looking at this, it's on the left, on the north side of the lot. I don't know where the misting station would be. I guess when I was thinking about it prior, I was thinking it would be between the shade and the washroom somewhere. It also gives, you know, a congregation area. Whereas if you put it in the middle, you've got two little strips on either side. So I'm not sure that that's as functional for gatherings or whatever on the outside. And as far as the adjacent property goes, when we look at the photo that's in front of us, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe that building that was there historically would not comply with today's bylaws. I don't think the setbacks were there. In fact, I know that property actually used some of the village's right of way for their side yards. So I'm not sure who will develop on that property, but I would suggest that if we're looking at that building, any building that's built on that site would have to have different setbacks than what we're looking at today. Considerable. So I don't see that as an issue. I guess I like the idea of looking up the stairs or looking down the stairs onto the street and having a wider space where, I don't know, kids can do hopscotch chalk on the walk, or other misting station could be in the middle of the water. So
Thank you.
the motion is for option B. So I'll be voting in favor of it.
Are there any other questions? I have a couple. I'm curious to know, how far is option B, about how far from the property line between the neighbors and Pocket Park? Is it right at the property line?
yeah, it's pretty close because you're really tight up against the stair,
Yeah, okay.
as you can see.
Another question I have, so option A, now I heard something about having to remove trees or something. So can you explain the different options and what work has to be done in order to prepare the site for the structure?
It's a not a super deep, I think it's like a foot, the excavation, just to put the piles in, or the supports for the posts. So there'll just be 4 of them. The contractor's looking at, just so we make sure that we have an option for electrical. So it's really the posts go in and then they fill it back up, and they put the paving stones back in, and that's pretty much the site. And obviously they plop it on top of the posts. So
Yeah, but what is there that would have to be removed in order to put the structure? For example, this
Right.
to me looks like we would have to move the bench, and I don't know about trees.
Yeah.
In option C.
Yeah, there's a couple trees there, and there's some light standards, I believe. I'm wondering, that's not the best picture because you can't really see them over, but there is a couple little, I think, bollards as well, but I think that's for both. And then there's some planters. There's 2 trees and a planter. Yeah.
Or option C.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
option B, we're just trying to get the utilities located, but we believe because it's a post-construction, it can stay because it's underground.
No, I personally am leaning toward option B. I just look at the way the sun comes for shade from that side, which means it would shade more the center, even if it's not directly under the structure. And another piece is what is the work that has to be done? I mean, I know we have funds to do it, but I just want to make sure we're being as efficient as possible. Councillor Lightfoot, did you have another question?
No, I just was clarifying. I thought there was a bit of confusion in that. I thought you had asked about location A and it was location C.
See, I might have said it wrong. Yes. Okay. Are there any other?
Where were you thinking of putting the misting station, Caroline? Where would that fit in the plan?
I believe it probably needs to go closer to the existing water source over there. So we originally, yes, we were thinking pretty much in the middle, but if you recall, those are sort of plug and play systems, so they can move around a bit. In other words, you don't do site excavation for them.
Yeah.
They just they're on super. So you have some flexibility. What in the short term, it will be tight with the washroom, and I probably should have plopped that in, but it's a short term because that's until the village offices are constructed. Then I believe CEO can correct me. I believe that's when it would move.
Right. Yeah, and that was something else I was thinking about, was how close is it the center C to the washrooms, whereas B is quite a bit farther away from the water and the washrooms, which makes sense to me. But
And we've never really talked about the washrooms, the longevity of them. But I believe if they're plumbed into the sewer system and they're serving a purpose, I don't think we'd take them out. As long as they're functional and they're working, I think we would leave them in the park. They'd be in that corner by where the words retaining wall are. They're at that property line
yeah. Okay.
And
where the
what's
sewer is already.
Sorry.
Councillor McCann.
What's the status of the wall, the retaining wall, like as far as option B is concerned? What would have to be? I think I read something that in your report about the retaining wall. Can you kind of remind me what we had there?
It's been compromised. If you recall, there's a few, and we've been trying to get a finalized quote from between Brian and I to get that repaired. So that's moving. Yeah, I guess landscape consultants are pretty busy right now.
Yeah.
So is that no matter what option, that's something that has to be done? Is that?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I wondered, if it was something that had to be done no matter what.
So is there any data on option B, the corner that's closest to the stairs, what the reach is from the stairs to that? I mean, one of the issues with A was the roof was too accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any data on B as far as accessibility to the roof?
Well, probably if it is the corner rather than, maybe it looks like about 4 or 5 feet. If it's just the corner, we probably could do something to deter it that wouldn't take away from the appearance of the structure.
Councillor Lightfoot.
Well, I'm just wondering if access to the roof is an issue on option C. You've got a platform that's about the same height as the retaining wall. So, I mean, to me, the access would be the same for C as it is for A.
The roof is pitched though, as opposed to, so when you go back, it's a little higher as opposed to when it's down to the corner. I believe that was the contractor's comment.
Yes. But I just look at A, the the lower corners would be almost even to the first platform. It's right up against where the plaque is that correct? Where the bench is now?
Correct.
Yeah. Councillor Toss?
Thank you. Just one final question, just to be clear. All of these options would be about the same time to complete.
Yes, they're on the same ARC permit. So yes, we've considered all of them.
Okay.
All the options. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? We have
Nothing.
a motion on the floor regarding option B. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? And the motion is carried.
Sorry, I can't see who did what. If you can maybe just let me know. It's just because it's not full screen.
Sorry, Councillor Michelle, Councillor Lightfoot, and myself was for.
Okay. And so
Okay.
Councillor Toss and McCann were against.
Yes. Okay.
And
thank you.
sorry, Your Worship, may I ask who moved the motion? Just because again, I can't see, it's very small on my screen.
Oh, we'll take down, we can take down the photo now, but that would have been Councillor Lightfoot made the motion, and the
Councillor Toss.
seconder was
I think it was Councillor.
McCann, I think so. Okay. Unless anybody argues that, so, yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to move, so that was a two-part motion. And we're going to move on to item number 7.3, which is fire rescue. And we have Jim McDonald here regarding the emergency management and fire rescue services update.
Okay,
So, turn it right over to you.
we have something up there, too, or,
Do we have a PowerPoint or any kind
no,
of?
not part,
Oh.
just.
Yeah.
Documents, we don't have that.
No, we do have we did receive a report, council did, but
Okay,
there's
I'm not looking at that.
nothing being shown.
So
So,
please do.
yeah.
Step there.
I like-
Okay, it's not looking for any recommendations or just kind of to inform you all where we're at as compared to where we were when I made the report early in the year. Yeah. So, no, last year, you all approved, draft plan and emergency plan. Good say. And I think we're ready to bring that to the public now. So it'd be exactly the same plan, only all with the phone numbers. Details would be gone.
Yeah.
And that would allow residents to comment on it. So if we heard from them that we're going down the wrong path, we can look at that. And I've added an evacuation plan, which was never part of this. And as you know, we've had complications with evacuations in the past. Choices are few, south, north, or sketchy roads over to the Lillooet area. But I think in future, in the event of an evacuation in the future, we have to send kind of boots on the ground on all of those paths. So if we decided the west side, for example, was the way out, we'd have to send somebody that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the evacuation plan looks like. Ongoing emergency management training. We've got one right here in this room here. It's about community evacuations. We have just the bare minimum, and it's a Justice Institute course. So paid for by EMCR and offered by the Justice Institute. We have two more training sessions that we had originally arranged with Holistic Emergency Preparedness. So we'll be doing those early in the summer here. And then I plan to also have an exercise testing all of this, probably middle of July. So ongoing, and of course, not a lot of folks available. Everyone's got a real job. Sometimes that takes front seat over this. We had a little bit of a neighborhood emergency response team session here. Some of you were there, and we had not a lot of folks showing up, but I think looking at our geographic location and the number of people returning to the community, that we need to keep pushing the neighborhood response. Because frankly, no one's coming down from Kamloops to help us out. No one's coming up from the Lower Mainland. We got to be able to do this on our own with our neighbors. So we'll continue down that path. June 18, we've got a Fire Smart barbecue, and I'll bring this back up again during barbecue. Our emergency management committee is small. I'd like to include more members from the RCMP who have reached out to the ambulance service, ANRD, and AMCR. ANRD, we're not getting a lot of support from, and I kind of get it, we're in the bottom corner sort of thing. So anyway, we'll try and get these other folks involved. RCMP, this is the first time I've reached out to them, and just by chance, one of their members was at another recovery issue I was at over in Edmonton a couple of years ago. So he's
Okay.
understands, I guess. Okay, fire and rescue service. Okay, our volunteers are still there. They're still showing up every Thursday. They're more a hands-on crew than a academic classroom sort. That being said, they've opted to take on the classroom part online. So we won't take it their Thursdays on that. Just to be clear though, they're all offering other time during the week. So besides the 2 or 3 hours they spend with us on Thursday, they've offered more hours to take on this classroom. So that'll bring us to our provincial minimum training standards. That being said, in addition to that, they still have to be able to do road rescue, over the embankment rescue. They're going on more first aid calls than they ever thought that they would be at. So aside from the fighter part, they've got all this other thing. So bad news is a lot more training. Good news is they're up for it. So I think it's important to recognize that the residents recognize that this just isn't a couple hours a week.
Yeah.
That they're offering quite a bit more than that. There's no financial impact except when we have training, and we might maybe have to bring coffee and she's in. And again, I think from the public point of view, we need to recognize that these young people continue to serve. So
Thank you.
try to get as many photos of this as we can.
Yes.
Let people know that. And not only the young people themselves that are doing this, but the people that they work for are allowing them time off.
Okay.
That's critically important
It is. Yeah.
as well.
Great. Okay. Thank you. So are there any questions? Jessica, Councilor Lightfoot.
I'm just curious how the online training is managed in that I'll make some assumptions, and if I'm wrong, can you correct me? I assume they go online and they register, and then is there a test at the end of it? And so the online provider, do they provide the department with records of participation and completion of courses?
Yeah, so I do all of that.
You do it.
Right, so the Office of the Fire Commissioner provides the training, standards and exams. I record them. So I
So they,
mark the exams and I record.
you mark the
Yeah.
exams. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, Councillor
Thank
Johnson.
you. Who is on the emergency management committee currently? You said it's small.
So again, I think there's some people in the room that have been to some training,
Sure.
right? And of course, we got Brian as the steady Eddie there.
Oh, yeah.
And myself at this point in time.
Okay.
Aside from that, there's really no one else. RCMP, I'm trying to get them as full-fledged committee members. BC Ambulance, we've had a little bit of staff turnover, some problems there, so I'd like to get them included. And of course, BC Wildfires included just because we have so many of their members as our here. So that's it. And when I go away, that's one less.
Okay.
So
Councillor Lightfoot.
Really curious because I obviously haven't been involved enough to understand the scenarios very well. But I'm thinking, you know, of all our surrounding First Nations communities, most of them probably have some emergency plans or maybe the tribal, I'm not sure. So is there interaction? Is there sharing of strategies? Do you have like an association meeting or whatever from time to time, or how does that work?
right, so so we do have good communications. As for regional meetings, we push that ahead last year, and nothing's happened since. But we have, I would say, LFN is our closest partner, and certainly Scuppa, Siska to a lesser degree, a little bit, and then yeah. So that's the core. And they all take training, and we all offer when we hold the training, we offer it to them. When they have training, they offer it to us. So I think it's working pretty good that way. And I think it's important for all of us to understand that, as you do, geographically, something bad happens in the village of Lytton, we're not going to stick handle that from here.
Yeah.
We're going to do it somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're looking at these kind of emergency operations center for the impacted jurisdiction is not going to be there.
Yeah.
It'll be someplace else. I'm going to buy a cruise ship and offer it to y'all.
Okay.
I'm just saying we can't ever do it alone. We have to do it with our neighbors. So we are, again, LFN biggest partner, and the other ones to another degree or two. Yeah.
And Councillor Lightfoot again.
Well, as a resident of electoral area I would hope that TNRD can coordinate. I know that during the last fire in 21, their mapping was still a little sketchy. I believe Councillor McCann and I were on the evacuation list, but everyone around us was, and our addresses somehow weren't incorporated. Even if we know who the key person is there to talk to, it would be helpful, but hopefully you'll get some interaction from that group, because there's a lot of heated property outside of the reserve areas surrounding also.
So let's just say that on the on our plan, on the emergency plan, and the contacts, the appropriate folks who will be part of that. And when I met with them last year about getting kind of this regional committee going, they were all over it. But since then, they haven't paint all over it. So, yeah, I'll keep push so far.
Okay, well, thank you. And we do need a motion to accept this report for information.
I will so move.
Thank you, Councillor McCann, seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Michelle. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. We appreciate that, Jim.
And just to reinforce, June 18th,
June 18th, a barbecue.
a barbecue, which is the most important part.
Open to anybody.
Open to
And
anybody.
it's here at the parish hall,
Big day.
Right here.
right here. at the
Yeah,
parish hall.
and we'll be talking about emergency kits and fire smart. Will be somebody's property, maybe even this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good. Well, we will make sure the village will get that information out
Yeah.
through our lines of communication. Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 8, correspondence. And we did have one piece, and that was from IHA regarding heat and smoke readiness with this weather upon us. So a motion to receive this information. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder, Councillor McCann. Were there any comments regarding this? No, and all those in favor? Carried. We will move right on to minutes of committees, and these are minutes that have been written up from previous project advisory hub meetings, one in March and one in April, and we do need a motion to receive these minutes. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder, Councillor McCann. Are there any comments regarding these? Councillor Toss?
Yeah, I read through them and I was delighted to see that the PAC sports and outdoor pool at this point. So I was glad to see that in the April minutes, that what I feel is maybe not a possibly revenue neutral pool being built. So that's great. Thank you.
Councillor Lightfoot?
I don't have it in front of me, but I recall when I read over it that the covered pool concept was fashioned after
Aldergrove.
And I'm wondering, is that some information that is available easily?
I Googled it. You can Google it and see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I got it from. Oh, it is. It's amazing. It's inspirational.
It is, yeah.
Oh, you want an outdoor pool? There you go. There's a good way of doing it. Holy cow.
Okay, so any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Verbal reports.
Right?
All right, so on Friday, May the 30th, I attended the monthly EMCR Mayors and Chairs webinar. So EMCR holds these, and it's regarding fire, flood, drought in the provincially in the province. So they talked about snowpack, and they talked about rivers, and they talked about fires, and again this month they talked about the drought area up in the northeastern part of the province, which actually now we're seeing fires. This meeting was held before the river rose here, so of course there was no mention of it when we had the meeting. But so those are held every month. Thursday, June the 5th, I attended the N7 Child and Family Open House. Always such a great event out there. I've been going to it for years, but it was just another great day. Uncle Chris the Clown was there again. As you may recall, I was on a committee regarding the Fraser Canyon Revitalization Project that was led by our MLA at the time, Jackie Taggart's constituency office. Our new MLA, Tony Luck, is trying to get up to speed on that project and where it's at, and he held a meeting on June the 6th. So the Lytton Chamber of Commerce President Bernie Fandrich, myself, as well as MLA Luck invited some other people, somebody from Tourism Merit, and he invited people from Hope who actually didn't make it, but they came in attempt to sort of reinstate the committee and move forward. So that's what we're looking at doing, is sort of figuring out that what committee happened before and what's sort of next on that project. So what was completed before MLA Taggart left was the Fraser Cannon sign project, right? The gateway signs at Yale and outside of Lytton here too. So it's a start. As I've said, our MLA is going to be brought up to speed on all that's happened and what needs to happen moving forward. So that same afternoon, I was invited to attend Kamshin Shmani school graduation and bring congratulations from the village. It's always a highlight to attend grad at the end of June. I do want to congratulate not only the 12 KSS grads, but also the 2 Stein Valley grads whose ceremony is upcoming. Lastly, I want to take this opportunity to commend our staff, particularly CAO Marbriquette, for all the work she's done managing a large staff, balancing our financials, writing annual reports, ensuring that our major projects keep moving forward. And as I said, CAO Marbriquette, as well as all the staff, need to be commended. So thank you. That's it for my report. And I will now turn it over to Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Governor Connor. I do not have a lot to report. Over the last 2 weeks, I attended the chamber meetings, the Lytton Chamber of Commerce, who are currently on a membership drive and figuring out their fees so that they can go full force into that. And I think they're still interested in working on a sort of introductory pamphlet for potential businesses. Lytton First Nation always has a lot to report through Jason Robertson, and I don't have the notes in front of me, so I'll try and update you in the next meeting. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCann.
Oh, thank you, Mayor O'Connor. It was a nice quiet couple of weeks, except it managed to be really busy anyway. So the high water kind of was a high event for me. But events and activities that I was involved with it for the village were coffee with the mayor a couple times. Yesterday at the village office. On the 29th, I attended Kanakabar Community Fire Smart Day presentations. So it was kind of nice to be a guest at someone else's Fire Smart thing. And the highlight for me was seeing Mason do presentation. Like, I taught Mason fire fighting in high school, and then to see him standing up doing the presentation, he did a really good job. I was really proud of him. That's nice, and the people at Kanaka are so welcoming. June the 5th, I went online with Councillor Lightfoot, and we did a quick planning session for the June 18th event. So we were there. Yeah. And just in general comments, I spent some time speaking with residents and others about the proposed shade structure in Pocket Park, as I mentioned earlier, and heard concerns from various West Fraser residents about accommodations made for foot traffic while the ferry was out, both for repairs and for high water. And regarding both of those topics, I would like to thank staff for their patience and persistence in moving work forward while attending to the concerns raised by people. Their work is very much appreciated. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shaw. Nothing to report. Councillor Lightfoot.
Very little to report. I'll just repeat what Jim and Councillor McCann said about the Fire Smart event on June the 18th. I took part in the planning session on June the 5th. So it's from 4 to 6 here in the parish hall. Food provided in a variety of information and activities planned. So it should be good. We thought it would be nice, the after work crew could drop in, and hopefully we'll have good turnout. I think personally, I'm looking forward to seeing the contents of the Go Kit, because every year it's a struggle for me to pare it down so I could actually carry it.
Yeah, well, 72 hours.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to mention one more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Thank you.
The 19th of May, I'm not sure if we're meeting before that. I think we are.
June.
June. Yeah, June. That is the day chosen to put the plants in the park here. And so that is an open community event. And I have spoken with both of the schools about that. And so the children will be engaged in that session. And we'll probably do a bit of a scheduling thing so that it's not overwhelming. There is someone using the hall that day, so it'll be an outdoor event and hopefully
That's
people
Spindle
doing,
Park around the
Doing-
parish hall.
doing whatever they're doing in the hall. I hope we won't bother them.
Well, this is a day of forgetting because I forgot something too in my report, so.
There you go.
So I did forget to mention that yesterday morning I wasn't at coffee. I want to thank Councillor McCann for taking that over as acting mayor at the village office. But I was here in the hall and I met with a leaders team, so chiefs from the area. We met with representatives from Interior Health and from Ministry of Health to get the conversation started again about what's happening with a permanent build regarding a medical center and such here. So it was a very good meeting, a very positive meeting, but it was just a start. So we'll be continuing that work, because we do need to get that moving forward. So, okay, so that brings us. No, it doesn't bring us. We have, I was going to say till the end. We have item number 11, other business, and we did add in an update on the River Road project. And Kat, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor, and thank you for the comments. It's much appreciated. So, I just wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about the River Road sewer project and the events of last week. And I received an email from a resident, a very thoughtful email about just sharing some concerns about some things that she had witnessed. And in responding, I sort of prepared a little bit of almost a bit of a history of the project and how we ended up where we were. So I thought it was probably worthwhile to share that, with a broader group. And so just bear with me for a couple minutes. I'm just going to go through a little bit of the background and how we ended up where we were. So, you know, just to start by saying we completely recognize the inconvenience that it caused, and it's really unfortunate that the ferry came out on the 4 days that the access was the most limited that it will be through the whole project. I can't believe that time aligned like that, but it did. And so, this project started back in April of 2024. So, 14 months ago, we had hired a company to come in with a sewer camera and to take pictures of all of our underground infrastructure so that we could get, some really good documentation of the status of it. And one of the results of that was, when they looked at that sewer pipe that goes from first down to the sewage treatment plant, with the camera, the pipe was basically collapsed. And the team was immediately alarmed that like this could be a complete failure any day. And as it is at the very end of the system leading into the treatment plant, all of the rest of the waste in the village in IR 17 and IR 18 all flow down through that pipe. So we started the process right away to try to get this pipe repaired. It's a project that falls under our sewer grant that's through the federal Investing in Community Infrastructure program, so ICIP. And so that program contains a requirement for First Nation consultation. So we started working with the federal government on, what we needed to do to satisfy those requirements. We finally got that approval in February of 2025. So we started in April, it took us to February to get cleared on the First Nation consultation piece. We immediately posted an RFP online and council approved the contractor on March the 25th to hire Rock Solid Industries to do the work. We then took our engineered drawings that were done during this process and submitted them with to our archaeologist, who then prepared a work plan and submitted it for approval. I have to say that the approval of the archaeology plan was actually quite quick. It was only a couple of weeks, but because it was at the tail end of the whole year, it was the last thing that was kind of dragging on and preventing us from starting. So we had the contractor, he was ready to go at the beginning of April. The ARC plan was approved on April the 24th. We then had to organize to get the contractor back and to get the archaeology team. And I think we've spoken at other meetings. There is a shortage right now of archaeologists and heritage technicians, both. So our archaeologists managed to get a team together to do the on-site monitoring, and they were scheduled to start work on May the 20th. On May the 20th, they started to do some of the exploratory digging just to make sure that, what they thought was underground is what was underground. And another really interesting fact came to light. When they looked at the manhole that's at the top of River Road at first, the flows were quite significant. But when they looked at the manhole that's closer down to the treatment plant, the flows weren't so significant. So somewhere along the way, the pipe is compromised and the flow isn't continuing down into the plant. So another major concern, in terms of needing to get this work done right away. So they started the work, they did the exploratory work on May the 20th, and then they were scheduled to start the actual digging and replacement on June the 2nd. The ferry went out on June the 1st. The crew is already mobilized, the equipment is there, the heritage technicians are there. There isn't really an option to stop the work and to send all those people home, because if we had have done that, we wouldn't have got them back. They would have went off to other work, and we would have been left with, well, quite a lot of cost. But in addition to that, no solution to get our pipe replaced. And so, at the end of the day, when I look at kind of, what we were weighing, we were looking at not a tremendous snowpack up north from what we could tell. It looked like there wasn't going to be a massive runoff this year. So we're weighing kind of the likelihood of that happening against the likelihood of the pipe collapsing. And we thought that likelihood was greater. And that's where we went with that. So, you know, um, like I said, it's a really unfortunate situation, and we are sorry for the inconvenience that we caused to people. We didn't intend to do that. We never wanted that to happen. The other thing I'll say is, we did learn some things through this process, and we can always improve, we can always do better. The one thing we learned is that as soon as we get engineered drawings, we'll be sending them in for the archaeology plan, because we could have done that earlier. So that will happen in the future. We've already incorporated that in another large water project that we're about to start. The other thing is that we had an emergency access plan. It was a condition of the contract. The contractor had to provide an emergency access plan that at all times, emergency access would be available should it need to get to Hobo Hollow, and a pedestrian access plan. So, but we didn't take that emergency plan and share it ahead of time, and we probably should have done that, because my understanding is the RCMP thought that they needed to figure out what the emergency access plan was, and it wasn't necessary because it was already done. The contractor had already done it. So that's another thing we'll have to do better in the future. The third thing is to look for additional channels outside of just the village channels to share this type of information. I don't know if the TNRD does newsletters or something, but I'll be following up to find out, so that, when we have these types of things coming up, we can have a broader distribution. We did include this in 5 newsletters prior to the work commencing. It started on March the 27th. It was in April 24th, May the 8th, May the 15th, and May the 29th. So, and as we got closer, we provided more specific information because we had more specific information. But still, there's probably ways we could do better to try to get the word out. And then the final thing, and this was a suggestion that came back to me from the resident that I was communicating with, that I thought was an excellent suggestion, is that, if we have these situations in the future where we have delays and people are asked to wait to go through a site, we could probably try to make them a little bit more comfortable while they're waiting. We could perhaps have a shade structure, maybe a bench, maybe some water, because we're entering the summer, and any delays from now on, it will likely be hot weather. So, I'm gonna get the team on looking at purchasing some of those shade structures, the ones at farmers markets that are always blowing over. But, to get some that we could, in a pinch, we could set them up and people could at least get out of the sun and try to be a little bit more comfortable while they're waiting. And the final thing I'll say is that we have a lot of water and sewer projects on the list, and we're going to be moving through them as quickly as we can for a couple of reasons. Number one, the more people that come onto the system, the more difficult these projects are to do. But the second thing is all of this grant funding has expiration dates, and we have to get this work done before the grants, come to an end. So the River Road project is the most disruptive of any. There won't be another project that will have that type of disruption particularly from a vehicle access perspective. So I guess you could say we did the hard one first. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think that's really important that all that information is shared out. And I know I appreciate that you have reflected on how it went and how we can improve in the future. And really that's what it's about, right? I don't think anybody should expect everything to be perfect. And I have to say that, I heard from a few people concerned, but I also heard from people that, were appreciative that we're getting that work done in the village. And then the other thing I heard is that when you talk about IR 18 coming on and IR 17, I know there are people that have just received their keys recently for IR 18 and are moving in. So that is happening, right? And that capacity is going to be increasing. Yes.
Yeah, and IR 18 is connected, and then when everybody moves in, it's going to change dramatically overnight, the flows, right? So we were trying to get ahead of that.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments, Councillor Lightfoot?
I just want to say how much I appreciate your ability to reflect and to address issues as they surface. Because I think almost in any project, there'll be unexpected challenges that arise. So thank you. I think, we did the best we could. We anticipated the ferry might go out. We tried to beat it. We didn't, but as you said, it's the worst one. And I'm just trying to think, I did come over one day. I managed to get a ride on the golf cart, which really, at first I thought, what a crazy idea, but I really appreciated it. That shot Wednesday day. And for some reason, I seem to recall a park bench along the walkway, but maybe I'm just fantasizing because, I think we did as best as we could, and we're all sorry that we inconvenienced our neighbors. But
Councillor Trask.
Thank you. And I echo all the sentiments of Councillor Lightfoot and Mayor O'Connor. I'm wondering what the status is, like if there's a little bit of a report of what they found when they actually dug it up. I understand they went down 7 meters, 21 feet to the damaged pipes, which is quite a dig. It was quite something to see that gaping hole there. Was there anything of note that we didn't know, or when, and also when should we see that all sealed up and sort of capped?
I think that the project's duration is about another 3 to 4 weeks. Our municipal engineer, Daryl Exani, is on the call here. I don't know what they found, but Daryl, I don't know if you have any information to add to that, if you wanted to jump on here and answer Councillor Toss's question.
Thank you.
Right, so apologies, sir. What was the question again?
Thank you. I was curious about what was actually discovered, and I think CAO Marbrick answered the second part of my question, which was when can we expect the project to wrap up and sort of be capped, which was, her answer was 2 or 3 weeks potentially, but the actual findings, and was it exactly what you thought, or is there any other complications?
Yeah, apart from the access issue, it's going relatively smoothly. There's we changed the plan in terms of the original plan the contractor wanted to employ was to do where we had to replace the storm and sanitary line, because the sanitary line is very, very deep in the area of First and River Road. So he was wanting to do what's called a common trench installation, which means that you put both lines in at the same time. But then we looked at it and we didn't really think that was going to be feasible. So changed plans midstream when he was starting the work down by the sewage treatment plant, and he did the sanitary mains separate from the storm main. We have found during some of the test digs that some of the storm infrastructure is fairly decayed. It looks like it's old highways, culvert type installations. So we're replacing some of that storm work. Currently, they're approaching the intersection of River and First. There is some issues we found, and it was unknown conditions in terms of the type of manholes that were installed at first. So there's a bit more work involved in terms of the connections. So we're just working through that and then finalizing details to get the connections made up on River Road and up to First and Center Lane. I'm anticipating in terms of completion, yeah, within 3 or 4 weeks, easily we should be done. I think largely in 1 or 2 weeks we'll be getting very close to be completed. There's going to be some service connections yet to reconnect and new services for some of the lots on River Road. So yeah, so we'll be continuing on and anticipate probably later in June things will start winding down.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
Okay. Are there any other questions? So let's have a motion to accept this verbal report for information.
So we've tossed.
Thank you, Seconder McCann,
Sure.
and all those in favor.
Mhm.
Carried. Good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we are going to be moving into closed meeting, and so need a motion to do so.
I will so move.
Thank you, Councillor McCann, and a seconder, Lightfoot, Councillor Lightfoot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. And so that brings us to the end of the open meeting, and I'm going to turn it back over to CEO Storchenko.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. So that concludes the public portion of the regular council meeting for June 10th. We ask that the public and staff please remove yourself from the meeting as we go into closed. Thank you for attending and have a wonderful night. And I invite council to take a short recess while I reset the meeting to close.